All right, today we're diving into a sci-fi novel that completely flips the whole idea of first contact on its head. What if aliens visited Earth and they didn't even notice we were here? The book is Roadside Picnic by Arkady and Boris Strugatsky, and I want you to just forget everything you think you know about alien stories. There are no space battles, no wise mentors from the stars. The core idea here is so brilliantly simple it forces us to rethink our entire place in the universe, or maybe more accurately, our complete and total lack of one.
And this quote from the introduction just absolutely nails it. Imagine this. A car full of people pulls over on a highway for a quick picnic. They eat, they chat, and then they leave, tossing out their trash, soda cans, wrappers, maybe a leaky battery from a radio. They drive off without ever giving a single thought to the ants and beetles crawling around in the grass. Well, in this story, we're the ants, and the entire book is about humanity rummaging through the bizarre, dangerous, and completely incomprehensible trash of the gods.
Right. So let's be really clear. This is not a story about the aliens. We never see them. We never learn why they came. This is all about what happens to us, to the world they barely even registered they'd visited.
And that's really the whole setup. 13 years before our story begins, this visitation happened. And it was just that. It was quick, it was silent, and it was totally indifferent. No messages of peace, no declarations of war, no grand exchange of knowledge. They just stopped for a bit, and then they were gone.
So where did all this cosmic litter actually land? Well, it wasn't just scattered randomly. It showed up in 6 very specific and now very, very dangerous locations around the globe.
And, being humans, we immediately tried to make sense of it all. We had to give it a scientific-sounding name. So we have the Pillman Radiant. It's basically this imaginary point way out in space, somewhere between us and the star Deneb, that all 6 of these contaminated zones seem to line up with perfectly. It's our little attempt to draw a straight line through absolute chaos.
The scientist who came up with that name, Dr. Pillman, had a really chilling way of putting it. He said it was like someone stood at that point in space and fired a pistol at Earth 6 times. It suggests a purpose, a trajectory, but one that is completely, utterly alien to us. It doesn't sound much like a gentle visit, does it?
So what kind of trash did these cosmic picnickers actually leave behind? Okay, let's get into the weird, the wonderful, and the profoundly deadly artifacts that are just lying around inside these zones.
In this question, what's inside? It's everything. It drives a whole new global economy, a massive black market, and the obsessions of everyone who lives near one of these places. What treasures and what nightmares are just sitting out there, waiting for someone to pick them up?
Let's take one of the most common finds. They call it an empty. Now picture this. You've got 2 copper discs, maybe the size of saucers, and they're just hanging in the air about 1.5 feet apart. And there is nothing between them. Nothing. But you can't push them together, you can't pull them apart. Our main character, Redrick, says trying to explain it is like trying to describe a glass to someone. It's a physical impossibility that you can hold in your hands.
And that's just scratching the surface. The zones are filled with this kind of stuff. There's witch's jelly, a weird goo that seems to violate the laws of thermodynamics. There are invisible pockets of crushing gravity called mosquito manges that can flatten a truck in a split second. There are devices that project pure objectless terror into your mind. And then there are things like batteries that seem to hold an endless charge. It's a junkyard of both miracles and nightmares.
So when you have things this valuable and this dangerous just lying around for the taking, well, a new job is born. It's a highly illegal, incredibly deadly profession. These people are called stalkers. They're the ones who risk everything to sneak into the zones and pull these artifacts out for the black market.
For a stalker, success isn't about getting rich. Our protagonist, Redrick, puts it bluntly. Getting out with loot? That's a miracle. Getting out alive? That's a success. The zone isn't evil. It doesn't care about you one way or the other. It's just a place with its own bizarre rules, and one wrong step is your very last.
And this is how they survive in there. To get across what looks like a perfectly normal, empty field, a stalker has to be meticulous. He'll take out a handful of metal bolts. He tosses one about 10 yards ahead, and then he just watches. Does it fly straight? Or does it suddenly get yanked to the side or drop like a rock? That's how you find an invisible gravity trap. It's this slow, terrifying, painstaking dance with laws of physics that just aren't ours.
See, every single artifact that comes out of the zone is paid for. Sometimes it's with money. Sometimes it's with a long prison sentence.
But very often, the price is much, much higher.
Let me just walk you through one fateful expedition. Redrick is guiding a brilliant, good-hearted scientist named Kirill on an official trip. They do everything by the book, carefully testing the path. But inside a dark garage, Redrick sees something new, a faint, silvery, web-like thing. Before he can shout a warning, Kirill, still blinded by the sunlight from outside, backs right into it. There's a tiny little crackle as it breaks, and that's it. They get what they came for, they leave, and everything seems perfectly fine.
But the dangers in the zone aren't always loud explosions or crushed metal. Hours after getting back, completely safe and sound, Kirill drops dead of a massive heart attack in the showers. The zone had touched him. Its effect was delayed, it was subtle, and it was absolutely final. There was no malice to it, it was just a consequence, like an ant at that picnic accidentally getting a drop of motor oil on its leg.
And that leaves us with the book's absolutely haunting central question. Is all this alien litter the key to a utopian future for humanity? A source of endless energy and impossible technology? Or are we just pathetic scavengers, fighting and dying over the cosmic equivalent of a half-eaten sandwich and some empty beer cans, completely and totally oblivious to the beings who left it all behind?